I never opened the door. That didn't stop it. Because whatever knocked that night was never outside. And once it realized I was listening, it learned how to wait. The knock that learned my name. I never opened the door. That didn't stop it. The first knock came at 2:17 a.m. Not loud. Not violent. Just 3 slow taps, measured, patient, like whoever stood outside knew I was awake. Knock. 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 I froze in bed, staring at the ceiling, counting my breaths. My house had always been quiet at night. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that lets you hear your own pulse in your ears. Then came the second knock. Same rhythm. Same pause between each tap. As if it was waiting for me to answer. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't even breathe properly. I told myself it was nothing. Wind. Pipes. My imagination. Then the voice spoke. I know you're awake. It wasn't loud. It wasn't threatening. That was the worst part. The voice sounded close. Too close to the door. Too clear. Like it wasn't coming through wood, but standing inside my head. My bedroom door creaked slightly as the air shifted. The house felt suddenly smaller, tighter, like the walls were leaning in to listen. I reached for my phone. 2:17 a.m. No missed calls. No notifications. Another knock. This time, it tapped from the inside of the door. My stomach dropped. I sat up slowly, my feet touching the cold floor. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But where do you run when the sound is already in your house? Go away, I whispered. Silence. Then something slid under the door. A shadow. Not the soft blur of passing headlights. Not a trick of light. This shadow had edges. It moved like fingers feeling their way forward. And then it spoke again. You used to answer me. My throat tightened. I don't know you, I said. The shadow stopped moving. Then, knock knock knock, came again, louder now, impatient. Memories began surfacing against my will. The old apartment. The hallway light that never worked. The door I stopped opening after that night. I hadn't heard the knock in years. I thought moving away had ended it. I was wrong. You learned not to open the door, the voice said softly. I learned other ways. The handle on my bedroom door twitched. Once. Twice. I scrambled backward, heart pounding so hard it hurt. My phone slipped from my hands and hit the floor, screen lighting up the room for a split second. In that flash of light, I saw something on the other side of the door. Not feet. Not legs. An absence. Like the darkness itself had leaned forward. The handle stopped moving. I waited. Counted. Prayed. Then came a knock, from the wall behind me. I screamed. The knocking moved again. Wall. Closet. Ceiling. Each knock the same rhythm. Each one closer to my head. Knock. 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 You hear me better now, it whispered. I covered my ears. That didn't help. The sound wasn't traveling through air. It was vibrating inside my bones. Suddenly, everything stopped. No knocking. No voice. Just silence. I sat there shaking, sweat cold on my skin, until the sun rose. When morning came, I convinced myself it was a nightmare. I opened my bedroom door. Nothing was there. No marks. No damage. Except for one thing. On the inside of the door, scratched deep into the wood, were 3 words I had not said out loud in over a decade. Next time, answer. And that's when I remembered. The knocking never wanted the door. It wanted permission. It knew the sound of love. I unplugged the doorbell that morning. I don't know why I thought that would help. All day, the house felt wrong, like it was holding its breath. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was watchful. Every room felt occupied even when I was alone. I didn't leave the house. I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't play music. Noise felt dangerous. Night came too fast. At exactly 2:17 a.m., my phone rang. I stared at the screen, already shaking. MOM. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might throw up. My mother had died 3 years earlier. Cancer. Long nights. Hospital machines making soft beeping sounds I still heard in my sleep. My thumb hovered over the screen. I didn't answer. The phone stopped ringing. A second later, it rang again. Same name. Same picture. This time, I answered. Hello. My voice cracked. Breathing. Soft. Familiar. Then she spoke. Why didn't you open the door for me? My blood turned cold. That's not funny, I whispered. Stop. She laughed. Not her laugh. It had the shape of her voice, but none of the warmth. Like someone repeating a sound they'd heard once, without understanding what it meant. You always locked me out, it said. Even when I was sick. The words stabbed deep. Because they were true. I remembered the night I pretended to be asleep because I was tired of hospitals and fear and weakness. The night she knocked on my door asking for water. I never got up. How do you know that? I asked. Silence. Then a knock came, from inside the phone speaker. Knock. 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 I threw the phone across the room. The screen shattered, but the call didn't end. Her voice came from everywhere now. The hallway. The vents. Behind my ears. You remember everything now, it whispered. Good. Something brushed past my leg. I jumped onto the bed, heart slamming. The closet door, closed earlier, was now slightly open. A shadow stood inside it. It leaned forward, and spoke in my own voice. Open the door. I screamed and grabbed a lamp, hurling it across the room. It shattered against the wall. The light went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Then the knocking started again. Not on doors. On memories. I heard my childhood home. The way my father used to cough before speaking. My sister crying the night she ran away. Then her voice came, clear as day. Please, she said softly. I'm scared. I shook my head violently. No. No. You're not real. She never came back, the thing said gently. But I did. The knocking changed rhythm. It matched my heartbeat. Thump. 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 Every time I tried to calm down, it adjusted, like it was learning me. I crawled to the corner of the room, covering my ears, whispering prayers I hadn't said since childhood. Why are you doing this? I cried. It answered instantly. Because you listen now. The bedroom door creaked open, slowly, by itself. Beyond it stood, nothing. But I could feel it smiling. I don't need your body, it said. I only need your voice. My mouth moved without my permission. Who are you? The house went silent. Then, softly, lovingly, it replied using my mother's voice, my sister's voice, my own voice, all layered together. I am the sound you answered once. The knocking stopped. I didn't sleep. When morning came, I found muddy footprints leading from the front door to my bed. And on my phone, screen cracked, battery dead, was a new voicemail. Timestamp 2:17 a.m. I never listened to it, because I already knew what it would say. When the door opened by itself. The rule had always been simple. Don't open the door. As long as I didn't, it stayed outside. That was the lie I clung to. At 2:16 a.m., I was still awake, sitting on the floor, back against the bed, eyes fixed on the bedroom door. I hadn't moved since sunset. My body felt hollow, like fear had eaten everything else. Then I heard it. The soft, unmistakable sound of a lock turning. Not forced. Not broken. Unlocked. My heart stopped. I hadn't touched the door. I hadn't gone near it. Yet the deadbolt slid open with a slow, careful click, like a hand that knew exactly how much pressure to use. I stood up, legs shaking. The front door was at the end of the hallway. From my bedroom, I could see just a thin line of darkness beneath it. The line widened. The door began to open. No knocking. No warning. Just the quiet obedience of hinges doing what they were made to do. I wanted to scream. I couldn't. The air changed instantly, thicker, heavier, like the house had sunk underwater. My ears rang. The walls creaked, not from age, but from strain, as if they were being pushed apart from the inside. The door opened fully. Nothing stood there. And somehow, that was worse. The darkness beyond the doorway wasn't normal night. It didn't spill into the house. It waited, contained, deliberate. Then it spoke. Not from the doorway. From behind me. You didn't open it, it said calmly. So I did. I spun around. My bedroom door was wide open now. The shadow filled it. Not a shape. Not a figure. More like a hole where a person should be, edges rippling slightly, as if reality itself was unsure how to hold it. I backed away, gasping. You said, I choked. You said you needed permission. It laughed. A sound stitched together from every voice it had stolen. I needed practice. The shadow stepped forward. The floor didn't creak. The air did. With every step, memories flooded my head. Nights I ignored calls, doors I didn't answer, people I shut out because it was easier. Each memory landed like a confession. I learned from you, it said. You taught me how to be let in without knocking. My ears started bleeding. I didn't feel it happen. I felt it stop happening, as if pain itself had decided not to warn me anymore. The shadow reached out. Where its hand should have been was my front door key. My key. The one I lost years ago. You wondered where it went, it said softly. I never leave gifts behind. The house lights flickered. For a split second, I saw it clearly. It wore my face. Not exactly, but close enough to make my stomach turn. My eyes. My mouth. My expressions, but empty, stretched thin, like skin over nothing. This is the part you forgot, it whispered. The walls around us changed. Suddenly, I wasn't in my house anymore. I was in the old apartment hallway. Flickering light. Peeling paint. And the door. My door. I remembered now. The first night. The knock. The voice pretending to be a neighbor. The way I opened the door just a crack. Just to listen. You never opened the door wide, it said. But you answered. The hallway echoed with that first knock again. Knock. 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 The memory collapsed. I was back in my bedroom, except the shadow was inside now. Fully. Comfortably. You think doors matter, it said. They are just habits. The front door slammed shut on its own. The locks turned. Every single one. Trapping me inside. The shadow stepped closer until its face was inches from mine. I could feel its breath. Cold. Familiar. You don't hear the knocking anymore, it said gently. That means I don't need to ask. My mouth opened. Not to scream. To speak. And that's when I realized the worst truth of all. The knocking had stopped. Because it had already learned how to sound like me. It never needed the door. Morning came without permission. Light slid through the curtains like it didn't belong there, soft, gentle, pretending nothing was wrong. Birds sang outside. A car passed. Life continued. I was still standing in the middle of the room. I don't remember staying upright through the night. I don't remember breathing. I only remember the moment the shadow stopped speaking. It didn't leave. It simply settled. Like a thought you can't unthink. The house was quiet now. No knocking. No voices. No movement. That scared me more than anything else. I waited for it to speak again. It didn't. I waited for fear. That didn't come either. I walked to the mirror in the bathroom, my steps slow, careful, like I was afraid of arriving. My reflection looked normal. Too normal. Same tired eyes. Same face. Same small scar near my chin. But something was missing. When I raised my hand, my reflection was just a fraction of a second late. I stepped back. So did it. I whispered, "Are you still here?" My reflection smiled. Not wide. Not sharp. Just enough. A memory surfaced, not mine, but shared. The shadow wasn't inside the house. The house was inside us. I understood then. It didn't break rules. It didn't force doors. It waited for habits. For guilt. For silence. For people who learned too well how not to answer. The phone buzzed on the counter. A voicemail notification. Timestamp, 2:17 a.m. One new message. I pressed play. Static. Then my voice. Calm. Steady. "I'm fine," it said. "You don't need to come in." The message ended. I dropped the phone. Outside, someone knocked on the front door. 3 slow taps. Measured. Patient. I didn't move. From behind me, my own voice whispered, "Don't worry. I'll get it." The door opened. I stayed where I was, watching, listening, as footsteps walked away from me, lighter than they should have been. The house sighed. That was days ago. Or weeks. I still live here. So does it. Sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet enough, I hear knocking, from somewhere far away. Not on my door. On someone else's. And I listen. I always listen. Because whatever knocked that night, still knocks. And now, it knows your name too. If you hear a knock tonight, don't rush to the door. It doesn't need to come inside. It only needs you to listen. And once you do, it never leaves. Good night. If you're still here, it means you heard it too. Subscribe, so you don't have to face the next knock alone. Because some stories follow you. whether you're ready or not.